All right, let's get into it. So this document was published on the 1st of the 9th, 2014, even though it was made available on the 8th of February. So the document is current and has not been updated so far. The topic itself was relevant at the time, so internet trolling, especially when social media was just starting. Therefore, it is a relevant topic. However, the internet has progressed a lot, and the article may present some inconsistencies in terms of new research, studies, and statistics, which present new issues relating to internet trolling that this study perhaps is not covering due to its age of publication. So who is the intended audience? Just based off the grammar or the vocabulary of this article, the audience would mainly be targeted at psychologists or undergraduate students wanting to pursue psychology, but it could also offer more insight to institutions who are wanting to stop the prevalence of internet trolls, and also to the general public who want a better understanding of how internet trolls work and who in society are more likely to be trolls. So if you're someone from the general public, you might want to have a look at the abstract. They've even got some key words here that can help you out with psychological terms. So the information definitely relates to internet trolling, specifically the psychological profile of internet trolls. So if we have a look at the abstract, we can see that the authors, which are Aaron Buckles, Paul Trapnell, and Delroy Paulhaus, they state that, they can correlate sadism and psychopathy with internet trolling, and also Machiavellianism, which presents high rates of pleasure that are derived from the cruelty inflicted. And they also delve into the dark tetrad scale as well. Okay, so the author's qualifications are not found on this particular paper. However, their universities are stated directly below. So if we click on any of the links, so you might be able to see that there are some links that are highlighted in blue. So there are hundreds of them throughout this paper. And if you click on any of the links, it will just show a quick little description of what these individuals specialize in, what their qualifications are, what university they've attained their degree from. So the information that's stated, that's been correlated to form this study, has been definitely backed up by some evidence, as this is a research case. So if we can see here, there were 2 studies that were conducted. So for this one, they used 418 participants to use a sadistic impulse scale. So it's to basically measure the rates of, if you enjoy hurting people, if what your level of direct or vicarious sadism is. And there's even a quick little graph that was probably what really drew me in to this article in the first place, because it just goes into such great detail and really explains what they're trying to achieve with this study. So the language that's used in this article, I wouldn't say is free of emotion, because the article will definitely be biased, because as psychologists, you are advocating for the protection of victims and bringing awareness to the harm perpetrators cause. Through some of the vocabulary, there is an appearance of emotions. So we can probably see, here's one: do not feed the trolls. I would say the majority of the information is based on facts from scientific research and studies conducted without a bias or image. And I would also say the point of view appears to be both impartial and objective. Impartial in giving a fair opinion on trolling, as the authors are not directly associated with this topic. However, they are objective in keeping their opinions mostly factual. So for this source, I chose to use the crap test. And I am going to score. Okay, so for purpose, I scored this article a 7. I didn't want to go and give this a really high score, just as this information is most likely directed at other academics and people who specialize in psychology. And obviously not all of us are psychologists or, that interested in the psychological profiling of these individuals. So I think it was a little bit of a letdown, as most of us won't understand certain terminology or, the studies or the methods that these researchers have used. So for the accuracy, I also scored that section as 7. And then for the authority, I also scored that section as 7. Again, I didn't find there to be any major problems with the authors, the publishers, if there are any affiliations, the credentials. They were all listed, but you do have to do a little bit of research and digging in order to kind of grasp what the qualifications are, etc. So for the relevance, the importance of the information for this topic, I gave this section an 8. This was probably the best section out of the 5 for the crap test. The psychologists and researchers, they just did a great job at ticking every box, answering any questions that you might have. They just really went into detail and just did a really extensive and great job. And then for the last section, which is the timeliness of the information, I gave this a 6. So this is a little bit of a lower score, and the reason for this simply comes down to the date of publication. This article is way too old to be, considered relevant in today's culture of internet trolling versus what happened in 2014. The internet has progressed a lot, and with that comes a lot of change. So I think the date, out of any issues that I found with this article, was what let me down the most. So if we're going to total these scores up, it came out to 35. And for this scale, it was rated as an average score, which I'm happy with, because I don't believe that this article is unacceptable in any shape or form, because it is credible. These are academics that are using their research and skills to obtain results, statistics, further research, further breakthroughs into this issue. It is an important issue, and I think they did a great job at filling us in on what's on the evolution of internet trolling. However, I wouldn't rate this as an excellent paper. It's great if you're an undergraduate student, if you're needing to write a paper and you need some sources, even if you are a practicing psychologist who specializes in personality illnesses, anything like that. So this is my score, and I would say that this is a very acceptable paper.